Hi, and thanks for tuning in again to Licks and Tips with John Standefer. As most of you know, I've been playing and teaching guitar for about a half a century now. I've taught private students and classes and traveled all around the country teaching in churches with my praise guitar workshops. There's really a significant difference between how a teacher works with individuals versus classes and in all different sorts of situations. Well, recently I decided to add Skype lessons, online lessons via Skype, and I've come up with a new idea that I think you're really going to like. First of all, let's just compare some of these differences between teaching methods. In private lessons, of course, you get much more personal contact. You can get your questions answered, and we can make course corrections according to what problems you're having. We can work on fingering and minimum movement principles. We can also zero in on your agenda, the specific songs that you would like to learn. We can draw from my 400 plus tabs that I've written, or I can custom build an arrangement on the spot. Style-wise, of course, we can cover just about anything that can be done fingerstyle, from accompaniment pieces like basically a Travis picking pattern, or maybe a little more ethereal accompaniment like on Silent Night. Perhaps a good old thumb-picking Chet Atkins style tune. Or maybe a pop waltz like Moon River. And of course, it just goes on and on, all the things that we can do in private lessons. Classes, which are generally maybe 45 minutes to 90 minutes long, are shorter, and they have to be generalized some because you never know who's going to be in the audience, what level they're at, or what their interests are. So with it being shorter and sweeter, you do have to target some specific area. And I generally will target something like learning how to read tab better, or learning how to read timing. That's a biggie. Or visualizing the fretboard, learning the notes on your guitar, that sort of thing. Or, of course, that dreaded subject of music theory. It shouldn't be dreaded or thought of as boring, though, because music theory is where all of the real understanding of the hows and whys of music will turn up. It shows you how melodies work and how the melodies are made out of scales and how scales are comprised and how you can take melodies and add harmonies and how they work together, and the harmonies produce chords, and how are those chords named, and which ones can you use where, and which ones can you substitute for other ones, and so forth. So really a whole lot of the beauty of music is in understanding theory. For example, you could take a little tune like Jesus Loves Me or something. Now, like da 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 da, so it's just like a bunch of 2 and 3 chord songs, but you can go like Jesus loves me, yes, I know, for the Bible tells me so. They are weak, but we strong. Yes, Jesus loves me. can do a lot of stuff with chord substitutions that you would have never learned if you didn't understand some music theory. Over my years of teaching and playing, I've developed quite a few book and CD sets and DVDs and things of that nature that are educational products. I think one of the more interesting ones is this one. It's called Digging Deeper. It's actually a 2 DVD set that was filmed by the TrueFire folks in HD with multiple cameras and all that. And it includes some things that you can print out in PDF form. And the one disc is a deeper understanding and appreciation of chords, which does talk quite a little bit about the basics of how melodies and scales and chord names and all of these things work, and chord substitutions and that sort of thing. And the other one is called Insights into the Art of Optimal Fingering, which talks about the principle of minimum movement and thinking ahead, like a good pool player thinks ahead about the shot that he's going to make next. So all these things are very helpful. The thing about it is now, so far I've talked about private lessons, I've talked about class lessons, and I've talked about supplemental courses like this one. But now I'm really going to get to the point, so stick with me for a few more minutes. Thanks. So, what I've tried to do recently is to combine all of these things into one course where you're learning the theory part like we're learning in classes. You're learning about the fingerboard and naming your notes. We're learning about minimum movement, all those sorts of things. But you're also getting all the advantages of private lessons and customizing the course to fit you. Here's my thinking. First of all, I needed to make this accessible to anybody in the world and yet still be a live format, not just a book or DVD set or something. So the only real answer to that is online lessons through Skype. Well, I'm already doing Skype lessons. They're 50-minute lessons, but this new course, what it would amount to, is we would divide that 50-minute lesson into 2 parts, and part of it would be theory. That would require a workbook, so I've developed a whole little pamphlet that you can download in PDF form to go along with the theory section. And then the other portion of the lesson would be the typical private lesson where we can customize everything to who you are, where you're headed, what songs you'd like to learn, what problems you're having, what questions you have, and so forth like that. So anyway, here's the way it works. What I came up with is just a 4-week Skype course. My suggestion is that we'd want to take these lessons about every other week so it'll last a couple of months. That extra time will help you to digest all of this material. Each lesson would be partially the theory and understanding of how and why things work, along with the specific attention that the typical private lesson would give you. Then, of course, I'm tossing in the Digging Deeper set, which you can watch at any time and work out the little workbook that comes with it. You couldn't ask for much more stuff in a 4-week course, plus all the discounts. So what I'm hoping is that you'll take up my challenge and take your playing to the next level and try to really get somewhere and get a good foothold on this whole fingerstyle guitar thing. You can continue taking Skype lessons with me, of course, too. You don't have to stop at the end of the 4 weeks, but this just gives you a real shot in the arm to get you underway. So I hope you'll check it out at johnstandefer.com. You could go right to the online lessons page and read all about it and sign up. Hope to see you. Thanks.